Welcome to the Rebel Rise podcast, a place where values-driven founders on a mission for more come to connect, learn, and grow. Here, we celebrate the relentless spirit of leaders building businesses that create real good for their clients, communities, and the world. No subject is off limits, and every episode is designed to bring you clear strategy, steady leadership, and people-first operations you can actually sustain. Get ready to grow ethically, lead well, and build something that works without burning you out. Your impact journey begins right here. Let's go. Today's guest on Rebel Rise is Lloyd Hecht, the founder of bestcardeals.com and a lifelong automotive industry expert who has been in the business since 1978. After decades inside of the automotive and vehicle data industries, Lloyd created Best Car Deals to help consumers buy vehicles with more confidence, clarity, and less stress. Using his proven 4 stages of every car deal framework, along with AI-powered tools and real-world industry knowledge, he teaches people how to understand pricing, trade values, financing, and dealership paperwork before the pressure ever starts. His philosophy is simple. He doesn't sell cars. He empowers people to buy smarter. Now, Lloyd is a wealth of information, and if you are somebody who is in the market, you are not going to want to miss this episode. Lloyd, welcome to Rebel Rise. I am so excited to finally have you here.
Yeah, no, this is great. It's been a while since we spoke. I look forward to catching up.
Yeah, it has. It's been a minute, and it has been so much fun for me to watch you grow, not only with, building your business, but just where you've come since we first met. And so I am so excited because you have a wealth of knowledge that expands far beyond my years, even on this earth. So I'm so excited to get into it.
Old?
No, I'm saying I'm a baby in comparison to you. You actually have more experience than I do, which I think is incredible. So
I am old, so that's okay.
But I would love to have you start by telling our audience just a little bit about your history and your background and why you're so passionate about what you do.
So right out of high school, I started putting radios in cars back in the late 70s. See how old I am? The late 70s, cars didn't have radios in them. They didn't have alarms. So I started doing that. It was called aftermarket. And I ended up in the car business from that. I eventually, in the 90s, I had my own business. As that business progressed, back then, people would get like an AM or an FM radio. And if they really wanted to step it up, they might get an 8-track player. But over the years, that progressed to putting in telephones in the cars and CD changers, or CD players. A CD changer would go in the trunk and you tune your radio to a certain station. They didn't have keyless entries. We would put those in. So that's how I kind of got into automotive. And I ended up having my own business for a while. Then I went to work at a dealership for 1 year. And after that, I ended up at autotrader.com in 2000. And my last 26 years were in the marketing side of automotive, the merchandising and marketing of vehicles, the advertising side. But over the years, just from being in the car business, people have always come to me and said, because people hate when they have to buy a car. They feel like the experience is like they're going to the dentist, right? It's what people equate it with. So over the years, I've helped many friends and family, but my customers, up until 4 years ago, the job that I have now works with companies that sell tools to dealers. So I don't deal with the dealers directly the last 4 years, but up until then, all my customers were dealers. And I knew there could be a business to help people with that car buying experience. But I never had the guts to do it while my customers were the dealers, because you don't want to bite the hand that feeds you, right?
Right.
But as I got closer to retirement age and taking this job 4 years ago, I'm in right now, the where the dealers weren't my customers, I was like, I'm going to start this business of helping people know how to deal with the dealer. And it's not against dealers. It just helps put people on a level playing field to understand the deal. So that's how Best Car Deals came about. And then I found Dean Graciosi and Mastermind, and that kind of helped teach me how to build this business. And finally, a little over a year ago, February of 2025, I launched the business, and we have some really great success stories since. So that's how I got started in it. I met you through Mastermind.
Yeah.
It's been just been a really, really fun ride, learning so much. I've always been able to sell and sell through. I wouldn't even say sell. I've been a consultative seller my whole life, and built some successful sales teams, but not by hard selling, by just building the relationships and making people want to do business with me because they knew I was helping them. So this has been very natural. Just, it's helping people know how to deal with the dealer and feel comfortable about the whole shopping experience and the car they want to get, and coming out like they feel good. Like I said, it's not anti-dealer. It's just so you're on the level playing field.
Yeah. And I think it's so incredible that that's what you do. I remember when I first found out that that's what the business was that you were building. And I was so excited about the concept because it is intimidating, especially if you're a woman. I mean, and there's lots of men who also don't know what they're doing when they walk into a dealership. But why do you think it is that nobody else has done something like this before?
So it's interesting. So there are a couple out there, but they
Okay.
disguise themselves. All right. So the difference is, so there's one much larger company that I consider the main competition that puts themselves out that they'll help you and teach you, but they have an ulterior motive. They sell other products, and they also try and capture you as a lead, which they sell to dealerships.
Mm.
So they're teaching you, but you give it all the information, and then you become a lead for a dealer. Or they're trying to sell you aftermarket products like extended warranties or gap insurance. You'll find some people on YouTube channels or online that say they're trying to help you, but they work at dealerships. They're just trying to find shoppers, and then, oh, I can help you, but buy a car from me. So that's what really differentiates me from anybody else that's out there. Is nobody else pays me. I only make my money from people buying my course or buying the program from me for me to help them. I'm not incentivized by any dealers, any aftermarket products, any warranty companies. My only incentive is to help the shopper. So I'm agnostic to any make, model, dealership. So I think that's the big difference between me and the others that are out there that try and do this.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love your heart for this, right? Because it's just about helping people, which makes it so much different, like you were just saying, to what everybody else that is in this tiny little niche market is doing right now, which really makes you stand out. And I know you have some great success stories, which I would love to have you share here. But first, why is it that you feel like the car buying process is so difficult? I'm not sure if it was always that way, but it does seem like if you can get through the sales department, if you're tough enough to get through the sales process first, there's just a lot to watch out for. So why do you think that is?
Because that's just the way it's always been. It's something that it's negotiated. It's not like you walk in and there's a price on a sticker on the shelf and you walk up to a cashier. Everything throughout the whole process is negotiated, from the price of the car that you're paying, right? It may be advertised for $50,000, but you can sell it, you can buy it for 47, right? If you negotiate properly. Or it might be advertised for 50,000, but then when you get to the dealership, there's another sticker on the window. It's called an addendum that says, "Oh, we've added this, this, and this to the car, and now it's 53,000. So it's even more than you thought you were going to spend." So the price of the car is negotiated. The Then the loans are negotiated. When you go into, after you decide on your trade in, right? You could go to three different dealers and get three different values on your trade. So that's part of our courses. We teach you how to really get a good value on the trade, because a lot of people will look up a car and they'll see what maybe an autotrader.com, what the dealers are selling it
Mhm.
for. And let's say they see their same car being sold for $25,000 by a dealer, and they say, oh, well, I'm going to go, when they go to trade it in, dealer's not going to give you 25 if that's what they're selling them for. So I teach people about how to value your trade, from whether you're going to sell it privately or trade it in, that you're not going to get the same amount of money if you trade it. But there's tax advantages that people don't know about by trading it in.
Mhm.
So one person I just worked with about 2 months ago, well, not even that long ago, he ended up taking his car and selling it to CarMax because of the price difference that he was going to get from the dealer. It was worth it for him to pay the sales tax on his new vehicle, because he was getting so much more from them than what they were going to get on the trade-in. So again, all negotiated things. And then the last piece is when you go into that office with the finance manager and you decided on a car. Now they start asking you, how much, what do you want your payment to be? And if you give them a number, you will walk out at that payment or higher.
Yeah.
So that's, again, another thing we teach is, you don't tell them what you want your payment to be. You decide all the things you want. And then I have a calculator on the website that you can use on your phone. And then you'll know what your payment should be once you're getting all the things that you want. And even the extended warranties are negotiable. So just teaching the whole process. I don't remember, the initial question was, why is it like that? I guess it's because
Mhm.
everything's negotiable, and that's just the way the business has always been. And people, try and win negotiations, right? Everybody wants to win.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was a
It's
long
funny.
answer. Sorry about that.
No, that's okay. That's all right. It's funny because I haven't had to go too many times by myself to a dealership. I usually am lucky enough to have my dad come with me, and he's a tough cookie, and he will just walk right out. We've had experiences where we had salespeople chasing us out the door, jumping in front of our car, and he's like, "No, thank you. Like we're not doing this." But I did the
And
last time.
if people look at my testimonials, that two of them that I have up there, they walked out and ended up buying. One was 2 or 3 days later, and the other was later that afternoon. But you have to be prepared to do that, and that's
Yep.
hard for people.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's always been nice because I've had somebody there. And this last time I went to buy, which was a couple of years ago now, I just went in with my bottom line number. And I was, because I didn't know, I knew there was going to be a ton, and I was by myself, and I was like, this is what I can afford. And if whatever you're trying to give me does not fit into that number, it's a no from me.
Right? Yeah. So no, but see, you you might have had a bottom line number on a payment, right? As
Mhm.
opposed to what the car should cost versus your trade in and all the other things you're going to buy. So
Right.
with my course, we don't concentrate on the payment. You can back into what you can get if you know what you want your payment to be, but you never tell the dealer what you want the payment to be. Yeah,
Right. And I probably ended up paying more than if I had learned from you, I could have gotten a better deal. So,
possibly, we don't know that. If you were happy at that time, then you got a good deal.
right. Exactly. So, what is your favorite story of a client that you've worked with, and how you were able to impact them through this course? Because you do like one-on-one services too, right? Do I remember that correctly?
They're more one-on-one. I
Yeah.
originally tried to launch where it was all courses online, and someone would
Mhm.
pay for the course and go through the courses, but it wasn't going anywhere. So I changed the program so there's one-on-one involved, because I have to talk to them, and it's not super scalable like that, but I'll worry about that if I get to the point where I can't scale. Uh,
Right.
so I think my favorite story is a girl I worked with last year, towards the end of the summer or in the fall. She was referred. Her dad was a Charlotte uh, police officer, and she was referred through a friend of a friend who was a friend with her dad. So she had called. She was looking at trading in her 2021 Jeep Wrangler for a brand new Jeep Wrangler, and the price listed on the website was, I don't remember the numbers exactly, but $52,000. And we got on a call together. We did a Zoom call. We spent about 20 minutes or a half hour, and we looked at the pictures on the car. And that particular dealer had a actual link to the window sticker of the new vehicles she wanted to buy. And like I said, I think it was listed around 52. But when we looked at the pictures of the vehicle, we could see there was a trailer hitch on the back on the vehicle. Then when we looked at the sticker, there was no trailer hitch on the sticker. So we know they added that afterwards, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I told her, I said, they've probably added a few other things too. And of course, when she went there, they had an addendum on the car, and it was $3,000 more than they even advertised it for. So she was, and then we spent time and we looked at, all the experts told her she could get, I think, 27 or 28,000 for her trade-in. And we looked it up, and dealers were selling it for 25, 26, 27. Numbers sound familiar. It's like that example stays in my head. So, but we came up with that if she could get, I think it was 21.5 or 22 from a dealer on a trade-in, that would be a fair number for her. And so she went to the dealership, and the first thing they asked her was about her trade. And I tell people, you tell them, you don't have a trade. What's the out the door price for the car I want to buy? And she said, I don't even want I like this vehicle, but I don't want all the things you put on there. Well, she did really good at negotiating them down to like $48,000, which was, so they agreed that that's the price. She came in with a check. She could buy the vehicle for $48,000. Step one, done. Now her trade-in. I said, now you say to them, what do you want? What if I did trade my car in? What would you give me for it? So I think they gave her numbers like 17 or 18, and they talked about the financing, and that didn't work for her. The payment was going to be too high. She knew, because she had the calculator. She was using the calculator. Mm-hmm. And she said, you'll see her testimonial online says, it was so hard to do, but I ended up walking out. And then she called me, and I told her, I said, don't worry. They will call you back today, tomorrow. And 20 minutes later, she got a text from the salesperson, and she called him, and he said, what do we have to do to make the deal? She said, I told you, you have to give me 21.5 or 22,000 for my trade-in. And you already told me I could buy it for 48. And she said to him, exactly. Or he said to her, if we give you that you'll come in and buy it. She said, I'll come back this afternoon. And he said, all right, let me talk to the boss. Called her back and said, all right, he's going to do it. And she went back. So it worked out perfect for her because she wasn't afraid to walk out, even though she felt bad walking out. But then she realized, hey, it's her money. And You know what? A dealer's not going to make a deal that's bad for them. So if you get them if you can get them to where you want to be, and I set those expectations of what's fair for both sides during the training process. So that's my favorite, because she ended up saving close to $7,000 from her original conversation with the dealership.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah, she was a 25-year-old nurse, just moved out of the house like 2 years earlier, and this is her second new car. But
I love that.
That was a great one.
Yeah. So I'm curious. I don't know if you've seen a lot of this. You probably have, but when entrepreneurs, for example, go to buy a car, because I see, as soon as they hit it big, they start getting a lot of income. They go out and they buy this flashy new car that's like fully loaded. And I don't know if you even know the answer to this. I'm just curious, like how careful are they, or how careful should they be when they get into deals like that? Because then we're talking, like $100,000 in car deals, for one vehicle, when they may not have done research. It's just, the dream car or whatever, and they've got lots of money to spend.
Yeah. And some people are okay with that. When they have that much money, it's like they'll just write a check for anything. Just talking about this today at lunch, with the NBA playoffs right now, that the tickets at Madison Square Garden for next Monday night with the first game. They were saying the cheapest ticket in the building is $4,000 a seat, and the court sides can be as high as $100,000 a ticket. And I wouldn't pay $4,000 to go to a live sporting event. Let alone,
Right.
I couldn't afford $100,000. But it's so. I think when people have certain amounts of money, some stay frugal and still don't. They want to get the best deal for themselves, and some it just they don't care. They'll write a check. And I'm gonna there's another part to this business that I'm going to launch probably by the end of this summer. There are some people out there that don't want to deal with it at all, and they would pay to not have to even learn how to deal it and do with it. There's a concierge service. There was an article, a guy doing it, Wall Street Journal a couple months ago, who he has 5 people working for him, and all he does is people pay him about a $1,500 premium, and they tell him what they have for a trade, what kind of car they want. He finds it, sets the whole thing up, gets all the paperwork done, has it delivered to their house. They pay him a $1,500 fee for that. The dealership shows up at your house, picks up your trade-in, and takes your car with you, and they don't mind paying for it. So I think that's more of an individual thing than just you became an entrepreneur, because
Fair.
some people don't change, and some will just throw it around like it's candy.
That's true. That's true. And I guess I framed it as an entrepreneur because that's what I eat, sleep, and breathe is entrepreneurship. But that's a very good point. That is a very good point. So I'm curious. I want to shift the conversation just a little bit into business and what I am curious about, because you had a business prior to technology even being a thing. So what has this process been like as you are not only starting a new kind of business, a brand new concept, but also you're coming into the digital age and having to learn, how do I build these courses and show up online and attract clients in a digital age where you now have this whole new market, but it's just very different. So how has that process been for you?
That's an awesome question. So I have what I consider a technical brain. So I went to electronics school, and I used that in my car stereo installation days and those things, understanding electronics. And I'm a good troubleshooter. So back in the late 80s, I was on a DOS computer and programming DOS. So I've had this technical brain, but I resisted social media. When I worked for autotrader.com, this goes back probably to like 2004, and I'm on the road sitting in a hotel in Baltimore, and one of the people I'm traveling with from work is telling me about my son's car race coming up on the weekend and my daughter's dance classes. And I'm like, how do you know all this? Oh, it's on MySpace or Facebook or whatever it was. And I was like, this is worlds colliding. I don't want anything to do with social media. So I've resisted it until I decided to do this business. Now, I had created a Facebook account back in 2011 or 2012 just to be able to see what I needed pertinent from the company I worked for, but I never posted anything. So I had to learn that when I started this business, and everybody said, oh, you're going to gain people. You've got to get out there on the social chat, so networks, so people know who you are. So that's been new for me. Like I said, I've always been a little of a geek, so I've built websites before, but not where it's all plug and play, where you actually had to get WordPress plugins and things like that. So I could figure that kind of stuff out. But and I also had to learn, the biggest thing for me was learning the difference between marketing and advertising versus sales. I was always really good if someone brought me a customer. And when I worked for big companies, they're giving you the leads, or I was going out and cold calling, and I could work those. But that, it was different. You pounded the pavement. You walked into dealer after dealer after dealer. But learning how to make people aware. One, if they have a problem. Two, that there's a way to solve the problem. I would do that through spin selling, which is learning someone's situation, their problems, their needs, and that was a consultative sale. But having to uh, find people or make people able to find me, that's been the challenge, and I'm learning. I know so much more than I did, and I've had a lot of fun with technology, and I was always an early adopter, and I'm having a blast with AI. Do a lot
Yeah.
of fun stuff. I have my physical clone does a lot of my ads now. You'll hardly ever see me on the video anymore. It's always me, and I can do that in 5 minutes. When I had to film something, take me 2-3 hours to do a 10-minute piece, right? Five
Mm-hmm.
10-minute piece. Now I can do it in 5 or 10 minutes. Bring up a script, plug it into an AI, pick my avatar, boom, it's done. Throw it into a editor, put a background on it or some overlays, and you have it. So the AI has been a big help in learning all of that.
Yeah. So it sounds like for anybody who might be listening to this episode that is hesitant to start a business or build a business because you're scared of tech, you just have to lean in. Even though, Lloyd, you had a little bit of background in it.
But you learn.
Right.
I so when I first started, it's funny, when I first started this, well, I guess working on it 3.5 years ago, my first mastermind coach was Jessica Laughlin. And she had to really get into me the old done is better than perfect. And I started putting some things out there. And God, I look back at my first web pages that I made 3 years ago, and I'm like, oh my God, those are so horrible. Now I look at what I have today and I'm saying to myself, wow, this is really horrible. So I'm about to redo the whole site again because I just
It's
keep
never
learning.
ending.
But it's, what you thought was when you were learning, what you thought, wow, you're so proud of, and you put it out there. And then you go, oh no, 6 months later, wow, that's really bad. I need to fix it.
Yep. I
But you
get
just
that.
have to get over that, not be afraid of that. And you just, you learn as you go.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're always reiterating and changing. Like you were just saying, I'm redoing my things all the time. It feels like it's never ending because there's always a new version of me and
Yeah.
always something new I've learned, like a new AI tool or a new way to do some graphic design or a new way to build content. So, but it does get fun when you can get into the spirit of experimentation.
Yeah, and it's funny, the guys I play golf with now. We have a Christmas tournament every year that raises money for one of the local chapters that do presents for local kids. And at one point, I was doing these. Before Sora was shut down, I was doing these rap videos of me as a rapper, and
I saw
I
those.
have
They
to
were
figure
great.
out how to redo them with a different platform. But that the people thought that was really me, and they wanted me to perform after golf one day at the club. I was like, sorry, I couldn't do that if I had 10 years of practice.
Should have just plugged your phone in. You could have had your clone come in and do a set.
Yeah, so it's pretty funny. But yeah, it's just, like, don't be afraid of making mistakes and just learn from them.
Yeah. I love that. Do you have any additional advice that you would like to offer to somebody, whether it's business or even car buying, whatever comes up for you first? If you only had one piece of advice you could give to somebody.
Well, there's just with anything that you do, and this was instilled, it's always been philosophies, but it was really instilled when I worked for autotrader.com. We had a senior vice president that gave us these three acronyms that if you live by, you'll always do well. And the first one is TTT, was tell the truth. Right? If you always tell the truth, you never have to remember what you told anybody because you're always just going
Mm.
to say the same thing. The second one was SOS, simply outrageous service. Just provide simply outrageous service to people. There's a great book for that called Raging Fans. And then the last is MIU, mediocrity is unacceptable. And that was the toughest one. I've always agreed with that, but that kind of is counterproductive to what I've talked about for the last 20 minutes about done is better than perfect and just putting it out there. But in my mind, what I was originally putting out wasn't mediocre. But as you learn
Yeah.
more, then it becomes mediocre. So you have to upgrade to as you learn. So, but just, don't accept mediocrity. Always expect the best.
Yeah, that's great advice. And I can totally relate to what you said in all of those, really. Like, those are very value heavy statements, right? That we can all apply to our businesses. And what I want to just build off of what you just said with the done is better than perfect versus not settling for that mediocrity. I always look at that like, we can just get it out there, right? And start letting people know about it. And it can be messy, but the piece that cannot be messy, in my mind, that is never acceptable to give somebody anything less than unreasonable hospitality. That's the phrase that I use,
Yeah.
coming from hospitality,
Right.
is the service and the client experience that they get from the moment that they get on a sales call with you before they've even spent money. That is the piece that cannot slip, and that has to just be blowing people away until the moment you wrap up, and honestly beyond. And the rest, like if I put out a video that's a little messy, if I have a podcast that I release that's not perfect, I'm okay with that. Like that stuff, that's how I differentiate that.
And that's your SOS part. And that's
Yeah.
building your relationships and earning people's trust. The company I work for now, we license vehicle data to companies that need data to build tools, government agencies, they may need data on vehicles for vehicle registrations and shipping. But, I didn't, I've been here almost 4 years. I'm the top salesperson there because I just build trust with the customer. It's a consultative sale. Instead of just trying to hard sell them, I have consultative conversations first, understand what problems they're trying to solve, and then come back with solutions for that instead of just, spend this money with us and license the data. It'll be great.
Yeah.
So
Right.
no, I get that. It's like I said, that's where the SO and the TTT part of that is, again, if you're always telling the truth, you're gonna have simply outrageous service.
Yeah, 100%. And that bleeds into authenticity, right? Because that's part of why people don't like the car buying process, right? To take it all the way back to the beginning is
Right.
because you don't feel like any part of that process is honest, whether it's on paper, online, you're talking to a salesperson or somebody at the front desk or the people who drop the papers at the end, it feels like none of that is honest.
Yeah, well, and they're, like I said earlier, the dealer's entitled to make money. We're all entitled to make. We want
Sure.
to get paid for what we do, but my feeling is like, don't try and make $10,000 on me when you sold somebody the same car and you only made $1,500.
Right.
So be fair, and that's why
Right.
there's so much. There's lack of trust in that process because it's a negotiable thing. Some that Saturn tried to introduce one price when Saturns were around. Every Saturn sold for the same price, but trade-ins were still negotiable. The financing was still negotiable. The warranties, so there was still there's a large dealer group. I don't want to name any names on something like this, but they have one price on their used cars. But again, it gets people in, but then there's still the negotiations on the trade-in and the financing. So they all have their ways to try make that extra, hit the home run, as they say.
Right. Yeah. And honestly, you really can't blame them when you look at it from their perspective, but it definitely means, as the consumer, as with anything, any major purchase, you should definitely do your research and come in as prepared as possible.
Yeah. So you're West Coast. There used to be a store in New York City, and the ads on TV, Sims Clothing, and his tagline always was, "An educated consumer is our best customer."
I like it. Yeah. Yeah, that's incredible. And so for everybody who is listening, if they would like to work with you, which I highly encourage everybody, if you are in the market to buy a car, please connect with Lloyd first, because as you've already learned from this episode, he is a wealth of information and there is so much more that we did not cover that he can show you. But how can they best connect with you and get started?
Yeah, we gave away a lot of the secrets on this tonight, but the and you can I offer what might call the stress-free car buying blueprint. Kind of outlines everything we spoke about, where it tells you all of the what. Then we have our course, which is the seamless car buying journey, where we do the how together, and that's where we talked about how I get on a Zoom call with you, and we look at and look at your situation. Bestcardeals.com. It's a very easy website to get to. You can find how to get me there. There's contact pages. There's links to some free courses. Our calculator tool is there. But like I said, now, our big thing is, but we don't sell cars. We empower the shopper to buy smarter.
And that is exactly what everybody needs, is a little more empowerment, a little more smart shopping. So thank you so much for being here, Lloyd. This was so fun. Yeah. I learned a ton. And the next time I am in the market to buy a car, I am definitely coming to you first. That way I'm not coming in with just a bottom line payment.
And it's on me. So I'm hoping you do come to me.
I absolutely will. Thank you so much for being here today. I can't wait to share this with everybody. I so appreciate your time.
Thank you. It's great to see you again. I'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, you too.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thanks for listening to another episode of the Rebel Rise podcast. Be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode, and invite your friends to join us next week. This is your time. Now get out there and rise.